Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So it seemed like, man, over there, man, you kept running this overweight.
Oh wait,
In the higher years, man. That's what it
well,
said.
hey man, them German, they eat like that off in the village. Now you get up in the town and shit. That when you run into supermarket.
Yeah.
Yeah, that when they make you flip and shit. You wanna, you be thinking, God damn, you see look like Marilyn Monroe and shit. You know what I mean? Christy Brinkley and shit. I saw them. And see the difference between white women over here and German women, they got asses, bro.
Yeah.
Them German Europeans, they up on the ass game. It ain't tits and little ass, you know what I'm saying, or bad body or flat ass. Germans have some ass on them. So you naturally, brothers, we like ass, right? You gotta have some ass on you. Right? And them German girls made you want to bro, because, they was exotic. Red hair, blonde, brunette, you know what I'm saying? Freaky and shit. Nipple twisters, talking shit. Yeah, man.
Okay. So while you was in the army, like what other places you traveled to? What else you did while you was in the army?
Shit, man, we went from Germany to Boston, California on a training exercise. I went all over Germany, uh, France, some little place called Luxembourg and shit, doing all these damn, what they call R-tips, training exercises, playing in the mud and shit. When I was over there, the wall was still up. You know what I mean? If you went to Berlin, you had to fly into Berlin. And then it was, half was this west and half was east. So that shit was real. I mean, we went on like one of them little, what they call like a little trip you take, right? And they take you up to the border. And this was Czechoslovakia. And was on the wall looking at us shit with binoculars and shit. And we looking at him, they looking at us. And they laughing their ass off, we laughing our ass off. This shit like, this some crazy shit, man. And then that fell, that wall fell, thank Reagan, Gorbachev. That shit fell, what, 87? But when I was over there, the wall was still up. So, it was interesting.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Man.
And while you was in the army, I mean, you was married this whole time while you was in the Army?
Yeah, I was married. Like the first year and a half, I was over there by myself. So, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, I did.
And you only had one kid or you had multiple kids?
At that time, I had 2 kids.
2 kids, gotcha.
Yeah, I had 2 kids before I actually got there.
Okay.
All that training and shit, I went to Oklahoma for my, what they call AIT. That's where you learn to do whatever, particular job you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I went from there to Germany, and I remember I was protesting because I thought the ground was going to be purple, the sky was going to be orange and shit. I didn't want to go to Germany. I was like, man, fuck, a nigga just want to stay over in the States. I want to just do some shit here and get a job at my belt because I ain't no life. I ain't with y'all like that.
Yeah.
Like when I was in it was peacetime army. So a lifer is a that couldn't do shit else, right? You can only be in the army because you just that stupid. You're a stupid can't, You know what I'm saying? And army always been considered like bottom of the totem pole. You know what I mean?
Why you say that?
Because, the Air Force, you got to take a test called the ASVAB.
All right.
Right? If you don't score high enough on that, you can't the Air Force. Oh, no, we can't do nothing with your dumb ass. Then you go down to the Navy.
Right.
And you ain't score high enough for the Navy, they be the same shit. You can't do nothing with your dumb ass. We got boats and submarines over here. You might need to go check with them and that green shit. And then the Marines, goddamn, you ain't want that smoke. Them are just known to be crazy. And anytime some shit pop off, the Marines is the first to go. They gonna see combat before anybody do. So then your last option is the Army.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how that shit played out. So it was what it was, you know what I mean?
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. So, okay, you was in the Army, you said around about 7 years?
No, I was in there about 4 and some change.
4 and some change, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
but I actually did like 8.
Okay.
Because you got inactive service, you got to show up at this little office and shit where they try to make your ass go back in and shit, pressuring you and shit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Come on, nigga.
So you say 8 years then. I said that about 7.
Yeah, it was 8 because that was my commitment.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So What happened that led you to leaving the Army?
Shit, up ass wife. You know what I'm saying? Running the streets and shit, doing shit, and nigga go to field all the time. You an infantry unit 2 weeks out every month, you gonna be out there in them woods and shit. She in the NCO club and shit, and doing all this shit. So, I was like, this. Time to get the Army.
Gotcha.
As a man, see, they kind of, see, the thing about being in the military is you kind of lose your manhood in a sense, right? And when I say in a sense, what I mean is you become government property. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you want to make certain decisions and this, and this, you got other above you that's making decisions on top of your shit, and that takes control away from you. So if a man can't control his house, you ain't really a man. I come from that type of shit.
Right.
Men run their house, they control the narrative in their house. That's what you do as a man. Another man ain't supposed to be running your shit. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, nah, I can't with this. I got, these nah. But I was having a good time in the Army. I was real successful. I was that nigga that got all them awards and shit, fixing shit I wasn't supposed to be able to fix. Fixing, doing avionics job. So I was working on helicopters,
airplanes.
Right. These can fix shit. They call me and shit and be like, hey, can you this helicopter? I was like, no, that ain't my shit. No, I'm not trying to get no Article 15 some shit I ain't, And they be like, oh, nigga, I said, well, you give me something in writing.
Yeah.
That CO gave me some shit saying, hey, with it. I went out there, 45 minutes. Boom. I done fixed that shit. They like, God damn.
Yeah.
This is a 31 Victor. Which that was a dude that sort of like, he was like a go to Best Buy, maybe they got a little car installer. So his putting the radio in, right? And wiring all that shit up. But if something wrong with your radio and shit, he ain't fixing that shit, right? It's another fixing that shit internally.
Yeah.
I was the that could fix your shit like that other.
Where did you develop that skill set to be able to know how to
Because
work on
you know how you got want to learn, know shit.
Yeah.
I was that type. So I wanted to know my job, which I was proficient at, but how could I be the man? Not in a competitive way, but I wanted to know next level shit. How do I, upgrade myself? So what I would do is I'd go up to the shop and watch break these radios down. So I started learning that shit. And then when we in the field and the colonel shit ain't working, you know what I'm saying? And he doing backflips and shit. This ain't trying to hear, I gotta wait a month on my shit.
Right.
Hey, what that Davis at? Davis come turn some screws, do some shit.
Yeah.
Like, talking like new money. He like, God damn you the shit.
There you go.
So,
Taking action.
yeah, I was that dude, man. I was that dude, man.
Hey there, this is Gerald Bass, G Bass, with the Rise of 1% podcast. Just wrapped up a phenomenal episode of the Rise of 1% podcast. And listen, here, everyone has a story. And I know you have a story. And then you have a story and you want to share your story. You want to share your journey. You want to share things that you currently got going on right now. Get your message out to the masses of people. Definitely love to have you here on the Rise of the 1% podcast. Being you would love to be one of our guests or one of our next guests on the Rise of the 1% podcast, definitely email us at support@riseofthe1%.com. Again, email us at support@riseofthe1%.com. Just leave your information. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your story, a little bit about your journey, what you have going on. And we definitely love to have a conversation about you being a guest on one of our upcoming episodes of the Rise of the 1% podcast. But that said, this is G Bass with the Rise of the 1%. Have a phenomenal one on purpose.